All right, so welcome everyone. Holding by Pirke Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers, as it's known. Again, want to welcome one. Holding by Pirke Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers. As it is known, we are in the second chapter. We are in 16th Mishnah, right? So I think number 12, probably number 13, 14, 15. As we go through. So again, we want to welcome everyone holding by Pirke Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers. We are in Pirke Beis, second chapter. We are in the 16th Mishnah. Again, so I think it's part 12. And we're still speaking about the evil eye. Because Rabbi Yeshua says, evil eye, evil inclination. Maybe we'll hit the evil inclination today, we'll see. And hatred of other people. Remove a person from this world. So we mentioned Rabbeinu Yonah, and Rabbeinu Yonah says that somebody who causes someone else to be jealous, right? Let's say, or let's say like this: why? We've been throwing this question out. Whatever, for a number of weeks, why would somebody be jealous of what someone else has? Right? That essentially is the question. In other words, someone is jealous. Let's say, another person has a great job, has money, has a great family, goes on vacations, has a nice car, whatever. Whatever it may be, right? The question that has to be asked is, why do we care what other people have? That's the question. So we said, we mentioned at least one aspect is that a person meets someone new for the first time. What are the two questions at the very beginning that a person's going to ask? They're going to ask, where are you from? Right? That'll probably be the first question. The second question will be, what do you do? Right? Now, I'm not going to say it's a fair question. That's what people ask. They want to know what you do. Now, what a person does not define necessarily who they are. Meaning, there are people that, do different things to make money, right? To put food on the table. Now, we said before, that does not define who they are. That's what they do to make money. A person's a doctor, a lawyer, they work in construction, someone's an actuary, someone does marketing, someone works as a chef, somebody works as a house organizer, someone's an architect, someone's, any number of jobs, whatever, someone's a teacher, right? There are a teacher out there also, right? Someone's a teacher. Whatever a person does does not necessarily define who they are, right? Normally it doesn't. It's just something where someone is going, someone is doing something in order to make money. Now, you could say, okay, let's say, someone teaches, someone's a social worker, they like to help others. Oh, good. That could be a very big part of their personality. Very good, right? That may be true, but a lot of other things do not define who they are, right? For sure, do not define who they are. But we are very quick, very, very quick to judge. We're very quick to say things and make all kinds of, calculations, accusations, different things based on what someone does. And that, I would say, is probably, the furthest thing from the truth, because most people, what they do has nothing to do with who they are. Usually. And the reason is because, again, unless it's something, specific that could define character, okay. Most things don't define character. Whereas the computer program, you say, okay, they're very analytical, right? Very analytical. They like math, other things. Okay, Yeah, that doesn't define who they are. That one doesn't define who they are. That's okay. Maybe that's what they're good at. Maybe that's what they enjoy, right? Chovos says person wants to stay with something they enjoy because you resent it. 100%, you resent the fact that if you're doing something you don't enjoy, you won't do it as well. Sometimes you have no choice, right? You just have no choice. You got to put food on the table. So you do whatever it takes, but but in general, so, the Chovos says that, if you don't do what you enjoy doing, you come to resent it, right? And we all know, everybody knows, what they're good at. Everyone has something, that they're good at, that they don't necessarily have to work that hard to perfect. Right? The Chovos says in Shar B'tachon, gate of faith and belief in God, he says clear. God gives everyone the opportunity to succeed. Either he'll make you very smart, or he'll give you brains, so you make money that way. Or he'll give you brawn, he'll make you strong. Right? Therefore, you can do physical labor. So it's one way or the other. One way or the other, someone will succeed. Now, if a person doesn't succeed and they're doing, let's say, what other people do, then there's something wrong. Then you tell me, okay, they're not doing it right. They're not doing other things right, whatever it is. Because if they're doing the same thing other people are doing, they should be as successful as what other people do, in theory. Right? But there's big X factor. What's big X factor is God himself. Right? God can either say yay or nay. So a person will either be successful or not successful. But it's based on him, not necessarily what we do. But again, we, people in general like to hear what other people do. Right? We're kind of nosy, I think, in that sense. And some people are just curious. They'll say, they'll just say, what do you do? Now, they're curious. What does the person do to make money? Or put food on the table. So they'll ask. Very common question. Very, very common question. Now, they're asking just this way of conversation, but that is probably one of the first or second questions, they'll ask. But again, even with all this, and you'll see how a person lives their lives. Right? Some have more, some have less. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not. I'll tell you an interesting thing. If you look deep into, you don't have to look that deep. You look into someone else's life a little bit, right? A little bit. Even if they seem to have maybe certain things that are better than what you have, there are other things they don't have. Or there are other things that, let's say, are more messed up, in different ways. So it's very interesting because at the end of the day, if they knew nooks and crannies about what goes on in other people's lives, right? They really know, let's say they could really know what's going on in other people's lives, right? So they had all these baskets, in front of everybody, of different people's lives. What basket are they going to pick up in general? Right? What basket would they pick up? The basket they would probably pick up for most people would be the basket about their own life. I'm going to say why. Why would that be? Because when they see what other people have, now, let's say some people are doing better, financially, let's say. So I'd rather have that. On the other hand, they got a problem with their kids, or they got health problems, or they have, they have other issues. Like, no, I'll leave that. I'm not interested. They'll look at someone else, and they'll say, oh, maybe I'll take this. All right. They have less money. They have, less family issues, right? But they have other issues. They're mental health issues. Or their mental health issues around them or whatever. It's like, no, not interested in that. So when a person, if we would analyze what other people have, most likely we're probably happy with what we ourselves have gone through or are going through. I'll give an example. Imagine, let's say, someone marries office kids, right? They have trouble. Let's say they have trouble financially marrying them off, but they marry them off, right? It goes relatively quick. They marry them off. Okay, but, financially is not an easy thing to do. Okay. So look at someone else who's, let's say, financially more solvent, stronger. But they have 2, 3 kids at home. They can't marry off. They have difficulty marrying off. Right? So, in these cases, it's basically pick your poison. Like, what would you rather not have in your life? Rather not have mental health issues, not financial issues, not, what are the things like, okay, you deal with if you have to, right, so to speak. What would you not want to have? What would you not want to have? Now, most people would say, I don't want to have health issues, right? That makes sense. Some people would say, I'd rather not have financial issues. Okay. Other people would say, I'd rather not have those and not have mental health issues or with family or whatever. Okay. Right? It's all, also good. Is someone going to say, again, anyone who's gone through it, whatever issue, let's say, would someone want fertility issues? Right? I'm not so sure too many people would want that, if they want to have kids. So, that might be, might be an issue. But would someone sign up to say, okay, you don't have health issues, let's say money's not such an issue, you're okay financially, other things are going relatively well, but you have 2 kids that aren't getting married. I know someone's got 3 of them. 3 kids, in their 20s, in the Orthodox community, that's kind of old, right? To be married, they're not married. I know someone told me he's got 5 people he's praying for every day, and they should get married. Same family. So, somebody want that? I don't think somebody wants that. But a lot of these things we don't want. Very good. So what would we, we're not given a choice. For those health issues, not a choice, right? Regardless of what people say is going on, in the world health-wise, doesn't matter, right? We're going to eat certain things. People, are not going to eat processed food and this and that, which cause all kinds of problems. Some people cause more, some people cause less, doesn't matter, right? But we're not going to eat, right? You don't eat, you'll starve. That's certainly not good for the body, right? So Rabbeinu Yonah over here says, Rabbeinu Yonah over here says that we see what other people have. Now let's say a person, let's look at what someone else has. It's kind of hard not to. Because you hear what goes on in people's lives, right? At some level. You hear what's going on. Okay. How is it possible? How is it possible not to make judgments here? Right, kind of hard, I would think. Right? But even though we said, really, shouldn't be looking at other people's lives, okay, right? And what's going on, it shouldn't matter. We got to keep focusing on our own lives. What someone else, is going through, okay, we hear about it. We may have to deal with it, family, friends, whatever. But I guarantee when there's a difficulty, when there's a hardship that you don't have, and you hear it about somebody else, what does the person do? The person can say, well, at least I don't have that. Right? At least you don't have that. Okay. The question is, as we'll get to one day, probably in about 97, but the Mishna says, we watch it, right? Who's considered rich? Samech b'chelko. He's happy what he has. They're not looking at what other people have or don't have. If they have a little, they're happy with the little that they have. If they have a lot, they're happy with, what they have. They're not looking at what other people have. And it's very easy to do that. You live in a place where the difference between those who have and have not, right? Certainly in the States, no question. There'll be other places also, right? People that have, they have a lot, right? Seemingly they have a lot. The people that don't have, they feel it. They definitely feel it. The type of house they have, the car they drive, different things. They feel it. They feel it here in Israel. Everyone's in the same boat. Some better, some worse. Everyone more or less, it's the same boat. They don't necessarily, feel it as much. Contrast not as great. But again, if somebody has, they spend however they spend. Their choice. Right? It's their choice. But the issue is, says Rabbeinu Yonah, the issue is we're looking at things that we don't have, that someone else has. And how does somebody view it? They view it by saying it's not fair. Why does this person have? Why don't I have? Right? That's what they're saying. I should also have. That's what they're saying. Now, if you're supposed to have, you'll have. Person can pray for that. God can say, I'm not going to give it to you because it's not good for you. Or, okay, you deserve it, so I'll give it to you. But then when you get it, maybe you see it's not necessarily so good for you. Okay, but a person sees what someone else has. They complain. And they complain. They say it's unfair. Why should this person be able to go on 3 vacations a year? Why should this person have this or whatever? They don't help other people. They don't, whatever. The person feels bad. They feel bad. So you can say, okay, if they feel bad, what's God going to say? God's going to open up the file and say, let's see. Does the person have a legitimate gripe or not? Do they have legitimate cause to be upset or not? If they don't have legitimate cause to be upset, that's it. Crying over spilled milk, right? There's no reason to be upset. The other person, seemingly, who made them upset, they'll get punished. Nothing happens to them. If it's something where the other person flaunting it or making someone feel bad on purpose, yeah, that's bad. That's bad. So this also shows that a person has to go out of the way and be very careful not to make somebody feel bad. And a person can get punished even if they didn't do it directly. So we mentioned this before, that Rav Aaron Cutler, blessed memory, founded the yeshiva in Lakewood, New Jersey. Torah giants, the last generation, no question. Built Torah in America right after the war. And he says, and we see by Yaakov Avinu, Yaakov listens to his mother, right? She prophecy. She says, go get this, animal ring. I'm gonna, prepare it for Yitzhak, for your father. He's gonna give you the blessing. You take the blessing from Asa. Now, that being the case, he listens to his mother. She had prophecy. He listens to his mother. He gets the blessing. And because he gets the blessing, kind of like a revolving door, right? He walks out, Esav comes in, and Yitzhak's very afraid until he hears that Yaakov got him the first time by the fact that he took the blessing. He took his birthright, right? That we saw. So Yitzhak understands the right person got the blessing. Very good. Now, so even if we say Esav didn't deserve the blessing, okay. Even if it didn't deserve the blessing, guess what? Yaakov indirectly made him feel bad. He cries out. Right? We don't really necessarily feel bad for him, but he cries out. What? You don't have a blessing for me? How come you don't have a blessing for me? He's sad. He's upset. I went off. Wasn't really keeping Torah mitzvahs, even though he's greater than Yaakov, right? And learning, or it could have been, it could have split the tribes, but okay, he went off and did his own thing. Very good, right? His evil inclination killed him, which we'll speak about. But the idea is what happened because of what Yaakov did, even though he listened to his mother, even though she had prophecy and she told him what to do. Through Yaakov, Esav gets hurt. It's punishment. It's payback. You're going to tell me, what did he do wrong? What in the world did he do wrong? He got what rightfully he deserves. He made him swear, gave him his birthright, he got the birthright. His mother tells him, okay, we're going to, give this food to your father, and he's going to give you he's going to give you the blessing, right? And he got the blessing. What did he do wrong? Seemingly he did nothing wrong, right? Listen to his mother. His mother had prophecy. What did he do wrong? So what's the answer? Says Rav Aaron, even though that's true, Esav got hurt, and Esav cried because of what Yaakov did. But he's innocent over here. He's an innocent bystander, as the Stooges would say. He's a victim of circumstance. It's not his fault. Not his fault. Says Rav Aaron, he made him feel bad. He made him feel bad. Now, there is one way out of this, essentially. One way out of this, what can we say? We could say that, why did Yaakov get punished? He really didn't do anything wrong, right? We could say it's not his fault. Where's the mood over here? He got what he should have gotten. So why is Esav crying over spilled milk? He got what he should have got. If he got what he should have received, he didn't do anything wrong. He did nothing wrong. So there's an idea that you could look at it, and people will say this because I've heard it a number of times. It's not right. It's not fair. People look at me like this or like that. This isn't fair. That's not fair. I've heard people complain. People say, if I had more money, it would be much easier. I'd be more accepted in the community. Yeah, people would look at me differently. I've heard that. I've heard there's favoritism, to other people that they didn't receive for a lot of things. Now, you got to remember, rabbinical court's going to call it the way they see it. Now, if they're going to hold someone back because of money, right? They're going to say, well, you have very little money. Unless you get more money, we're not converting you, and that's wrong. Now, at the same time, we mentioned this before. We get a lot of flack for this, but we mentioned it before. Let's say this person's really struggling, right? Really struggling. And based in feels that they're going to be a burden to the community. They may not convert them because of that. Now, a person can say that's not right. I'm not on the base and I'm not calling the shots here. You got to remember one thing. What does the rabbinical court want to see from a potential student, from a potential convert? What do they want to see? They want to see you have the requisite knowledge. Right? Doesn't mean you have to know everything, but they want to see you have requisite knowledge. But they also want to see, A, you can move to a Jewish community, and B, that, you're self-sufficient. And that you're not going to be a burden to the community. A person's going to be a burden to the community. Let non-Jews deal with it. Why should Jews have to deal with it? Right? I mentioned this many times. I know a family, struggled, here and there, and, a rabbinical court told them that reason. We have a lot of kids, right? Let's say someone got, 6, 7 kids, whatever. They struggle. They definitely struggle. Good question whether they're going to convert or not. Well, again, what are they looking at? They're looking at the whole package. Not looking at just what knowledge they have. You say based on knowledge, maybe they should convert. Maybe. But there's a whole other issue here. That I think people underestimate. right? And that is we take very seriously. We have a lot of Jews that need help. They need financial help. All we need to do, that word gets out. We're willing to help and give, financial packages and this and that. Everyone, their mother want to join. Be great. Let's go through the motions. Let's, join the Jewish community. They'll help us out. Now again, a person will say, but, someone who really wants to convert, not going to do that. Okay. Question is, how does it look? Now, I would agree, and I mentioned this before, that I would agree, I think a great thing would be raise a lot of money, a significant amount of money, right? And help people in the process of conversion. Help them move. Other things, you'd have to have a committee, really vet them, make sure they're really serious and, whatever. I don't, someone else, a few people have actually thought of the idea. It's all like an idea in the clouds over here. But who's going to fund it? We're going to look out for our own first. It'd have to be about you for someone who comes back as a secular Jew, becomes an Orthodox Jew or a convert, it's got money or it's got connections or something to do that. It's needed. I don't think there's any question. Once someone converts, okay, it's a different issue. Right? It's a different issue. But there are two things here. One thing is having the knowledge. Right? And the other thing is how they're going to fit in the community. How are they going to look? Looking in the community doesn't really matter. Right? A person's black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. That doesn't really matter. They're going to have to fit in and take whatever flack they get for the way they look. But okay. Right? That someone understands. I think you're gonna have thick skin for this. Very good. But I would say at the same time that you're gonna have to prove your mettle a lot. But but even so, we have the right to determine that because we don't need people sponging off the Jewish community. That's people need help, whatever. Okay, but there's a whole package here. There's a whole package here. Someone's a Jew. Down the line something happens, they lose a job, they need help. Okay, but if they're already really struggling right now. And they have trouble moving and, other things, there are issues. There are issues. I would agree, again, that, there are people that are sincere, deserve to be out. I don't think there's any question. Who's going to raise the money for them? Very hard to, because, we got plenty of Jews that struggle. But even with that, I would ask the question, okay, someone has difficulty. Someone has hardship. Where's the emunah here? That's what's lacking. Because people are going to say, this isn't fair, and that's not fair. And, if I had money, it would be different. I don't know if it'd be different. Right? It depends on the situation. But, there are other factors involved, which people have to understand. It's all cut and dry. If I only had money. Yeah, what if you had money? Very good. So what if you had money, you're doing very well, but your knowledge, you can't read Hebrew, you can't make blessings, you can't follow a service. There are many things you don't know. So who cares if you have money? That's good. That'll help you move in the community. Very good. It's still not going to convert you because you don't have the knowledge. Right? You don't have the knowledge. But again, where is someone's emunah? The fact that God runs the world. If it's corrupt, and people are corrupt and doing things they shouldn't do, I get it. That's a problem. That I agree would be a problem. Right? But I hear so many times different things. They're like, that's not the issue. The issue they're looking at, oh, I know for sure. Right? People would say, I know for sure. If I would do this or do that, they look at me differently. Okay, so people have prophecy. The only prophets today, right, are, as the Gemara says, are either imbeciles or little children. So nobody has prophecy. But everyone's got their own ideas. Everyone thinks, yeah, if I was this would be different. If I was that would be different. Who says? Who says this? It's based on precedent. What precedent? What? Let's say like this. I've heard many people say, well, these people got, they got preferable treatments. The other people, something else happened. I know so much more than them, and I was overlooked. Now, obviously, there are reasons why. It's not cut and dry. It's not that, well, they have this, whatever. So they got the upper nod that I didn't get. You have no idea. Obviously, basis not going to tell you. It's certainly not going to tell you. Each case is its own case. And there is a problem when you make an assumption, right? You know what happens when a person makes an assumption. Yeah, so I won't go into detail, but when you make an assumption, who says you're right? A lot of times people assume things they should never assume. They should never assume. There are other factors probably involved. And when that is the case, so, I've heard, many people say it shouldn't take this long. I get all these strikes against me, blah, blah, blah. Well, it depends what it is. Sometimes the person will have children, let's say, and because of certain circumstances, they can't convert. That could be devastating for people. I get it. But guess what? There are certain things you can't change. If a certain situation changes, good. If it doesn't change, let's say someone has a child, they don't have custody, for whatever reason. Yeah. How are they going to convert that child with the other spouse if it's not helping? They're not interested, this could be a Jew. They're living with somebody else. They're not under your guidance. You see them, right? You definitely see them on a regular basis, but they don't live with you. How can you expect that a base is going to say you should convert? Sorry, that child is able to convert. They're living with a spouse that wants nothing to do with conversion. It's not fair. There's a reality. A child wants to convert, has to live with the parent that wants to convert. They live with the other parent, how are they going to convert? No matter what the other parent wants. No matter how much knowledge they give them. They're not living in the right house. And even joint custody is going to be a problem. To a certain extent. I don't think it's a total problem. But if they're living in this, in the house of one, a spouse that's going in the right direction, okay. So going to have to be guidelines when they buy the other spouse. Very good. That doesn't mean they can't convert, but if they're living in the wrong house, what do you expect? That's not based on saying, you're complaining, it's not fair. What do you mean it's not fair? They're not living in the right house. They're not living in the right house. Why do you expect they should be able to convert? They're being trained, and they're learning very good. Yeah. But they're living in a house that's antithetical to Torah. And they won't allow them to practice Torah. Right? Obviously if they're younger. Now, if they're older, they're independent, different issue. And even if they're independent, doesn't matter. Right? To a certain extent. Because if one parent has guardianship, or they're living by that parent, doesn't matter. They're more independent. They have to be out of the house. They have to be out of the house. If it's a younger child, it's not going to happen. Doesn't matter what the other parent wants. It's not going to happen. Right? Now, that's tragic. For the one parent, that's tragic. I agree. And it shouldn't happen or whatever. Okay. But the reality is a rabbinical court's not going to convert them. The other parent may be able to convert. Right? That's probably less of an issue. The child won't be able to convert unless they live with them. Or unless they're older. And they're independent. It is a tragedy, I'm not saying not. But, you can't say, well, Basin would never allow it. That's right. And there's good reason why they wouldn't allow it. Right? It's a hard thing to face. I would say it's a hard challenge, very good. Yeah, but they have good reason why. They're living in the wrong house, getting wrong values. No matter what the school values are, whatever. Even if they're in the school. Let's say they're in a Jewish school. Very good. What's the problem? Where's the majority of education come? In the house. So you can learn all about it in school, and then the other parents are you ain't doing nothing. I'm not going to allow anything. That's detrimental. That is not good for the education of a child. They won't convert them. Again, it's tragic, but there's a reality. The person has to understand the reality. Right, but I hear so many times, this isn't fair, that's unfair. The other thing, listen, I wouldn't want to be in the, in the position of the Beis Din either, but they have to call it the way they see it. According to what the best thing for the child and that person is. And if it's not in their best interest, they won't convert them. Now, if they're holding something against them, and they're doing things shulk and din, they're not doing it the right way, that's a different issue. That's a different issue. I'm not talking about that. Right? But a lot of times, and this is the theme here. Because you're gonna say, oh, this person had this and that, they don't deserve this, and I deserve better, and that what's the connection? Right? I had somebody, copped an attitude, and they were saying my kid gets up very early and he learns and this, but we can't move. Because of my husband's job, we can't move. But we're willing to go in there for Shabbos, stay in Winnebago, I don't know, whatever. The Beis Din won't convert us. Okay. But they don't live in the community. You can say, hey, my husband can drive to synagogue during the week and pray there, whatever. Shabbos the problems. Okay, so I got a Winnebago. I'll go here. I'll do this, based on the wants. They're all living there. Now, if they hold the double standard and someone else does the same thing and they allow it, okay, so that's come up a reason why one person's different from another. But anyway, that wasn't the point. The point is the person kept going on and on. Right? On and on. And finally, they said, listen, we're doing more than most Jews, which may be true. Doesn't matter. May be true. And then they said the magical formula. And the magical formula was, look at how many gay and lesbians there are in Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is the gay, capital of the world. Could be. What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with conversion? I understand the pay. They're saying, listen, we're not doing that. But they're born Jews. You're right. American Express, membership has privileges. Okay. Right? Membership has privileges. You're not Jewish. Fine. Even if you have Jewish blood, but you can't prove it. Still not Jewish. Okay. But one thing has nothing to do with another. Even if you have tens of thousands of millions of Jews, don't know the alphabet. And they know nothing from nothing. Yeah? If they know nothing from nothing, it's their own fault. And they're going to get punished. What does that have to do with you? Because the system, they'll say, discriminates against me because I'm not Jewish. It's a question of discrimination. You meet the criteria, good. You should be able to convert, all things being equal. You don't meet the criteria. What's your Beis Din do? What in the world's your Beis Din do? You cannot turn the Torah into a pretzel. You can't just do whatever you want, regardless of what other Jews do. And that is the point. We're not looking at what other people do and other standards and different things. We're looking at what's in front of my face right now. What am I facing right now? A person could bring it up and they, they could have a meeting with the Beis Din and say, listen, we're doing the same things as these people. Why do they get the benefit of the doubt? We don't. In theory, they could ask that. See what Beis Din says. Yeah. You can ask that. We're doing the same thing. They got the benefit of the doubt. We don't. Now, Beis Din could answer you. I'm not sure you want the answer. But they could easily say something and say it's a totally different case. But each case is different. So why are we looking, or why are some people looking at what other people do? As if to say, I know the nooks and crannies of all, every last thing that's going through their mind. I mean, can a person honestly say that? Beis Din is blind. They don't know what's going on. They don't see. They don't this. They don't, if they don't, good, you're right. Right? But there are other factors involved, I'm sure. It's not my business to check into it. It's not my business, right? In general, I could ask, in theory, trying to find out, what's really going on, because obviously person saying something is biased themselves. They could say, well, if I was this, I was that, it would change. I'm not so sure. Even if I don't know what's going on, I would say I don't think it's true. Now, there are places could be corrupt. Yeah, could be. Very well could be. But we have to be careful. Because what this leads to, it leads to Lashon Hara, leads to Rechiyut, like tattletelling, saying, oh, they did this, they did that, look what he did, this and that. Right? And you have to remember, even if it's true, it's still speaking bad against other people. But this what gets you into trouble. Because you're looking what other people have, what other people do. And what does it do? It contaminates a person's thoughts, says Rabbeinu Yonah. Constantly gets them to think, this isn't fair, that's not fair. It burns inside them, makes them jealous. And that's where the evil eye comes from. Now, you can tell me, if people are in pain, and they're suffering, and they see things as not being fair. So the question is, why is it about what's fair? Why does it do with being fair? Where is the person's emunah? Anyone in this process, I've said 1,000,000 times, you have to have thick skin. You have to have thick skin. And when you're looking at what someone else does or someone else says, you're lacking in emunah. And everything we go through in any case is a test, right? Which we've said before. So when looking at these things, we have to have clear mind how you're looking at it, right? The right way to look at it. Not just what I think and what I'm going through. Is this the right way? Right? Is this the right way to look at it or not? Right? That is the question. Right? As someone here points out, very good. Right? If ever the world put all the problems in a hat, we'd pick up a set of the problems, right? Our own. We'd pick up what someone else has. Nobody in general wants what anyone else has. That's usually general of thumb, I would say. Why Hashem gave us so much suffering? Who says he gave it to us? Maybe we do it to ourselves. Maybe a lot of it has to do with what we do. But we spoke about suffering. What's the reason for suffering? What's the reason? What's the reason people go through difficulties in life? Because we're in this life, Ramchal says in Derech Hashem, and he says in Path of the Just, we're in this world to toil, to make us better people, to help us overcome our evil inclination. So we go through all this difficulty in order to make us who we need to be. And sometimes difficulty will be to break us. See where we're holding in the world. Even to bring out dormant character traits we never thought we had. Squeezing us like the bottom of the toothpaste. How does someone's gone through a lot of suffering? Tremendous suffering, physically, mentally. Yeah? And people say, well, if I want to convert, I'm not going to be like him. Look at all the suffering. Yeah, but that person has grown by 1 billion miles because of going through it. That's not a waste. People say, well, if I want to be close to the king and I get tossed around, it's not fair. Which one's being fair or not? Remember, these things make us who we are. Sometimes we do better, sometimes we do worse. Right? But if we become so much stronger in emunah because of what we've gone through, don't you think the test has been worth it? But someone will say the test is still hard. Okay. But it makes us who we are. Defines who we are. Absolutely defines who we are. So, there are a number of reasons why we go through it. We said that you're in this world to toil. Very good. Now, what if I would tell you, let's say forget about reincarnation. right? We'll forget about reincarnation for a second. Let's say a lot of things you go through are reactions for what you've done in this world. Right? Let's make it real graphic. Yeah, it's not just what our soul has to go through. Let's say you made a bunch of bad decisions, constantly bad decisions. And this is the repercussion for going through it. Anyone happy about that? I don't think so. Nobody wants to hear that. No one wants to hear this is a result of what you've done. Nobody wants to hear that. Right? So if it has nothing to do, let's say, with what our soul has to go through, and it has to do what we've done ourselves, right? So now I ask the question. Now I ask the question again. Why did God give so much suffering? And what's the answer? And what's the answer? Because you did it to yourself. If you did it to yourself, that's it. We got no one to blame but ourselves. See, it's easier to say, look what God's done to, look at what my soul has to go through. Yeah. So that takes the onus off of you. Because it's not my fault. I don't really do anything. My soul has to go through this. Very good. That makes it a lot easier. Because then it's not like you have to take responsibility for what you did, because it's not your fault. You have to deal with whatever your soul has to go through. Okay. It's a lot easier. But if that's not the case, and we suffer on a daily basis for different things, and we get punished for stupid things we've done ourselves, that's a lot more difficult to handle. Spoke Lashon Hara against someone else. They deserved it, this and that. Still forbidden. Yeah, makes you feel good, whatever, it's still forbidden. Person cursed, they shouldn't have cursed. Had bad thoughts, whatever. You did it to yourself. You did it to yourself. So what do you want? So if you did it to yourself, what do you have? So think about it. How happy is a person knowing that? It's a lot easier to say. My soul has to go through it. Very good. What if God opened your eyes for a split second? You opened your eyes for a split second and saw all the things you went through because of what you did. I'm convinced, I could be wrong. Take this with a grain of salt. But I'm convinced, I don't think too many people will be happy because they get hit right between the eyes. And God's going to say, okay, you know why? You have to go through this, and he shows you a laundry list of things you did. Now, some people would say, yeah, I didn't take a survey, but some people would say, yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad I know at least what I did. I'm glad I know. I think people would be broken by it, destroyed by it. They see how stupid they were. But you see, I think this is obvious. Why? Because all you have to do is take a look at your life on a daily basis of what you've done. Right? How you made blessings if you had an obligation to make blessings. How you interacted between you and man, between you and God. All these things. Beautiful. Take a daily account, right? Look at your life on a daily basis, what you did. Anyone going to get an A plus afterwards? B minus? C plus? How many people are going to pass the test if we're honest? Now, if that would be the case, let's say take a journal, write things down. After a week or 2 weeks or a month, go back and look. And then come back and ask me the question. Because the Orthodox says very clear, we don't do a tenth, a third, a quarter what we're supposed to do in our service to God. Now, let's take what he says at face value. Let's take it at face value. If that is true, we have no complaints. We should say what we're going through is mercy. Because if you serve God that way, you don't do what you're supposed to do, what do you think is going to happen? At our level. So there's reward and punishment. You got to take responsibility for our actions, which no one wants to. Everyone wants it easy. Right? Who doesn't want it easy? Everybody wants it easy. But if you looked at a month of your actions on a daily basis, and you were honest, how you interacted with others, how you prayed, how you did other things. If you were honest, after a month's time, I don't even think you need a month, but after a month's time, you see, sometimes you did better, sometimes not, this and that. And now you think, how does God look at this? Because you're holding better than most people in the world. So God's going to take it a lot more seriously what you do. Then you're going to ask the question, why am I going through so much suffering? But you're not going to ask that question. You're never going to have that question. Because you understand. You're not cutting it. You're falling short a lot. So if that would be the case, which everybody does to a certain extent, some more, some less, if everybody falls short, so what do you think is going to happen? And that's not fault, imagine, you have a certain task to do for the king. Flesh and blood king. Yeah. You're only good at it, let's say 70% of the time. Maybe. Right? Let's say. Depending where you're holding and what your job is, don't you think king could come down on you very harshly? Because you're not fulfilling your task right. You're not fulfilling it to capability that I want. So what does the king do? What could the king do? He can still take care of your needs, this and that. But that'd make life harder. More difficult. Or, what's the worst thing he could do? Fire you. He says, get out of my face. I don't want you. I don't want you part of my, part of my people helping this and that. You're not doing your job right. And that's a flesh and blood king. What could the King of Kings do? Or the worst thing he can do, he can kill you, yeah? Take your life. Or if God wants that mercy, he doesn't have to do that. What does he do? Throws you around till you get the message. But how many people can say that we're doing exactly what we should be on a daily basis, that we should be punished at our level? Someone will say, I'm a work in progress. I'm working hard. I'm trying this. You're right. God understands that. Takes a lot into consideration. But that doesn't negate the fact you're not doing what you're supposed to do. At the level you're supposed to do it. So now I'll ask the question again. Why is God making me suffer so much? You're not going to ask the question. Because you understand it's based on what I do. See, it's very easy to be a Christian. It's called pass the buck. Do whatever you want. Right? All I have to do is believe in him and I'm saved. Yeah? So we have to take responsibility for our own actions. And if that's true, we are our own worst enemy. If we are our own worst enemy, we don't have questions. Because it's based on probably something we've done. Maybe yesterday, maybe the day before, maybe a month before, a year before, who knows? Right? Who knows? And not only that, the suffering we get, guess what? Cleanses us also. But we're supposed to get the message. We're not supposed to be broken by it. We're supposed to get the message. Right? Now, keep in mind, everyone has easy. Someone there mentions, well, guess what? God's not making them suffer because he doesn't want to hear from them. He just gives them everything they want. He's going to toast them in the next one. They got a portion of the next one. Right? So God only rebukes those, someone here says, he loves and wants to succeed in this world. Right? Everyone asks questions on the snake. What is the snake? Snake got cursed, had his legs chopped off, and eats the dust of the, every day of his life. Well, very good. Well, does the snake ever have a problem with food? No. Never has a problem. Snake never has a problem. Snake never has a problem. What's the curse? Curse is, God says, I'm giving you everything. Scram. I don't have anything to do with you. You're not going to pray to me. You don't have any connection to me. Very good. Right? So give people they doesn't want to see or hear about, give them everything. Why? But they did one mitzvah in the world. Maybe, they gave charity once in their life. Maybe they helped Granny cross the street. So God has to reward them. Very good. So we'll give that reward this world, but they'll get nothing later. Right? They'll use up everything in this world. Right? Now, one attitude would be, which, some people this is going to be hard, but one attitude would be that the what do you call it? The suffering they get in this world, what is the suffering going to do? The suffering is going to purify them in the next world. And therefore, they won't have to suffer as much or at all in the next world. It's also true. Right? In other words, they're going through all the hardship and difficulty now, seemingly for the whole purpose that they won't have to suffer later. Now, how many people are saying that? How many people, are saying, wow, it's a great challenge. I don't know how I'm going to get out of it, but it's a great challenge. Right? And not only that, I'm so excited for the challenge because it's going to purify me for the sake of the next one. It's a great idea. Right? It's what we probably should say. Right? Probably where we should be holding. But I'll ask you the $1 million question. And the $1 million question is, who's holding there? Remember everything, like, all the embarrassment and things people say against them, this and that, they care less. Why? Because that's going to be total purification for them in the next world. So let people say whatever they want, do whatever they want, who cares? Right? It doesn't affect them. There are more important things to worry about, but that doesn't affect them. Because that's going to, purify them more. Right? Because essentially we should be asking for more suffering in this world. Really, that's what we should do. Because the more suffering you have in this world, but since the Mabites 100 years ago, that what he says in Beis Elohim, the suffering you get in this world, you have to acknowledge that it's because of sin. If you acknowledge the suffering is because of sin, then you get atonement. Then you get atonement. If you're suffering in this world, you say, woe to me, what a terrible thing, it's all haphazard, God forbid, this and that, you don't get the atonement. You will not get the atonement in this world. Right? Or for the next one. Right? You're gonna say, life's not fair, this and that, I'm suffering to suffer. That suffering does not atone. Right? That suffering's not going to atone. And I'll ask you the $1.5 million question, why should it? Because you're not acknowledging where it comes from. You acknowledge the suffering's coming from God and it's for sin, says the Mabi. Beautiful. That works. That grants you atonement. But if a person doesn't acknowledge it, they just say they suffer, woe to me, let me end it, let me just get out of this world, whatever. They didn't get atonement for the suffering. Suffering atones for so many things. If we knew how much suffering worked and helped us atone for sin, you'd ask for more of it. What's the obvious catch-22? Catch-22 is we don't want to go through it. Right? Not only that, we say every day. We pray every day. Don't bring me to trials and tribulations. But it's catch-22. You don't grow if you don't have them. Right? It's a hard thing. But how many people are saying that, I want to suffer more? Give me more suffering so I can come to God totally pure. There are some people like that. I don't think the vast majority of people want it. It's too hard. So then someone's going to say, I was waiting for this question. Is it okay? Because life is so hard. Can't I take fantasy? And every once in a while, or maybe more than not, why can't I just have fun? Why can't I have fun? Why can't I escape? Why can't I follow sports? Why can't I watch movies? Yeah. So you do that to escape. Now, if you tell me the movies are clean, even for non-Jews, there's no immorality, there's no cursing, the values are good, and the theme of the movie is good, which most aren't. But let's say that would be the case. Technically speaking, besides wasting time, what would be the problem? Maybe tell me it's no problem. Maybe tell me it's no problem at all. But the problem is bad values, curses, and all kinds of things they're trying to convince you of. Not to mention that's a waste of time. But escape would be good. And people find it either in that, people find it, they abuse all kinds of things. Whether it be immorality, whether it be, let's say drugs or, other things. But let's say it's not illegal. Something not illegal. Fantasy is great. Books of fantasy. What's the problem reading Harry Potter? Right? That was a big question back in the day when Harry Potter came out. Obviously before the movies. Right? What's the problem? Is there any problem reading about fantasy? Technically speaking. Maybe not. Here you're talking about witchcraft. It's not really real. It's just fiction. But with all these things, even, take it a step further. Cartoons. Are cartoons fun? Sure. Who hasn't had fun watching cartoons back in the day? Or even maybe someone watched today also. Right? Aren't cartoons the most violent, usually the most violent of things? And they're funny. I'm not going to say not. I grew up on Wile E. Coyote and, and Roadrunner and Tom and Jerry and different things. It's fun. There's no question. For educational purpose here. Fun. Right? Sit there and watch for however long. What are the values of them? Glorifying violence, what a lot of movies do. And others, the themes are bad. What the glorifying is bad. The message they give is bad. Now, as a non-Jew, even if you're not going to convert as a Noahide, so you're going to say, that doesn't fall under the Noahide laws. Very good. Right? 7 laws, an umbrella. More than 50 or 60, let's say, altogether. Very good. Doesn't fall under the Noahide laws. Good. So I would say the moral imperative is it a good thing? Let's say like this, for a Jew or a non-Jew, any of these things, does it make you a better person vis-a-vis your relationship to God? That's the question. Now, if you tell me I just want to chill and I'm watching this, I'm watching that, it's making me feel good. So you're going to say you're numbing yourself against life. That's how some people live. They don't want to deal with life. So, why do you think people watch soap operas? They're living other people's lives. Enjoy. Right? And all these things are fun. I'm not going to say not. The question you always have to ask is, am I better spiritually because of this? If it's just a block, you're going to say, well, this takes me out of life. And I want to enjoy certain things. I want to watch this thing, whatever. Half an hour, whatever it may be, just to chill. Okay. And get back to real life, so to speak. Right? Someone asked me, I was a big sports fan back in the day. Right? Someone, asked me about, would you ever go to a basketball game ever again. So I said, no. So I said, why not? So I said, well, seeing people, run around shooting the ball in shorts just doesn't do it for me anymore. Right. So, okay, like that was it. They got the point and, they said, oh, okay. Yeah, whatever. But, well, what's the real reason though? Because I couldn't see myself being in a place, forget about other people there and what's going on, even comfort of my own home. Sitting there for 2 hours watching this thing, back and forth, it's closed, it's not, whatever it is. It's like a total waste of time. More than anything else. I'm not even talking about values, what people are saying, and Lashon Hara, and this and that. Even, you don't listen to commentaries, right? You don't listen to the commentators, sorry. You don't listen to commentators. Okay. So no, and you put it in on double speed, or almost double speed, so it's even quicker. Okay. It only lasts 2.5 hours, 3 hours. Now you did it, in an hour, right? Let's say. Question you got to ask always is, am I a better Jew or non-Jew because of it? Did it draw me closer? Now you're going to say it's numbing me from life. That's what it is. Right? Right? But, at the end of the day, people do with all kinds of things. Sporting events. People, into politics, they'll watch that. Video games. All kinds of things. Some people say, I can't listen to Torah all day long. Right? Even when I'm free, I can't listen to Torah all day long. Okay. Of course, listen to music. Right? But again, it has to be something where it's not going to, destroy your brain. Because what people say has an effect. What we see now, the other problem, forget about the messages. I mean, this is part of the problem, right? In other words, the messages you're going to give are bad, right? That you're going to see are bad. But you got to remember one thing. We are made up of body and soul. A person made up of body and soul, remember, just like we're recording out there, right? Everything we see, everything we hear is recorded. What records it? Our soul records it. Even if it doesn't come up today, tomorrow, the next day, 10 years down the line, something you saw could come up. A vision of something, whatever, could come out. Why? Any number of reasons, not the point. The point is the soul records it. It's there. It's now part of your psyche. So, you saw this movie, whatever. Oh, I can't believe they killed him in such a way. It's like, it's not dead. It's probably out having a beer, like having a great time, right? No, but what they did, and, when he left his wife, it's all made up, right? We get all caught up in the characters, right? We get caught up in what's going on, and this and that. We forget one thing, the whole thing is made up. Even say, based on real events. Okay. It's not 100% the way it happened. But most things have no base in reality. So if it has no base in reality, what are we getting all excited about? Or getting all upset about? Or, person, I don't know, some people, into horror movies, this and that, and scare the wits out of themselves. Oh, I can't believe, all this blood, this, that. How many people this guy killed and slashed and, whatever. Never happened. But the images are there. Someone put up a post a while ago. They're like, what was the scariest movie you ever saw? Right? What was the scariest movie you ever saw? Some people, this one, that one, the other one. Like when they were kids. Yeah. But some said they still see these images 20, 30 years later. Okay. Not to scare them, whatever, but it's there. As a kid, it can have tremendous ramifications. The more you see things. There's once, I remember that a bunch of kids watched the movie 1,000 Faces of Death. All these different ways a person could die, whatever. They wanted to see what death felt like. They took, a classmate out and they killed him. They're like, everyone's like jumping up and down. They're like, violence on TV, violence in movies, and this, that, we're going to crack down on this, that. But these things sell billions. Make a ton of money. has an effect. That's the point. It has an effect. No person say, never affect me, I'm not going to be violent. It has an effect on a person's psyche. What they see has an effect. That's been proven. That for sure has been proven. The more a person, watches violence, don't you think it could be? They could tend to be more, aggressive or whatever from it. Could be. I mean, like I said, I think that's pretty obvious. Right? Some people say, no, it doesn't affect me. It's there. It's what a person sees. You have people that now start talking like these people, imitating them. This other thing, they thrive to be like, oh, they want to be like this person, whatever. It's all fantasy, right? It's all fantasy. So I ask you. So I ask you the $1 million question, or $2 million question now. And the $2 million question is, how can it be? How can it be? It doesn't affect you. It's impossible. It doesn't affect you. The problem is, even if you tell me, it's enjoyable and it helps and this and that, what's the thing it doesn't do? What's the thing it doesn't do? It doesn't fix the problem. Whatever abusing alcohol, drugs, and other things, person's in a funk, they're upset to this, to that, whatever it is. What happens? What happens after the high goes? Back to reality. Then you have to have another high, another fix. This doesn't fix the problem. That's the issue. All it does is numb it. But, a person doesn't deal with it because you say, oh, it makes me feel better, makes me feel less depressed, person listens to music, that can help. Sometimes, a person, let's say, is a bad mood or depressed or whatever, so what they do want to crank on music. Okay. Is cranking on music, does that solve the problem? Does that will the person into a good mood? It makes them feel better, right? But it depends what they're going through. So these other things, right? Like here someone points out, that's kind of like prescription medicines. Good analogy, right? You feel comfort, but then a while you feel worse than you did before. See what this does is then you have to continually feed that, right? It's not just a person watch one movie, that's good, right? And say, oh, I feel better. It doesn't stop there. That's the problem. It doesn't stop there. It just continues. Now I want to watch something else, or now, whatever. So even if a person's working, whatever, and they don't have a chance, when they do have a chance, that's what they're going to do, because that's going to fill the void. The problem is the void doesn't get filled. You just need more of it, right? Imagine a person is made up. We said before, a person is made up of body and soul. If a person is made up of body and soul, the soul's insatiable. Meaning, if you don't fill the soul with spirituality the way you should, you got to fill the soul with something else. What are you going to fill it with? So people fill with all kinds of things that aren't good. They just numb it, right? Entertainment's a good example, right? Politics is a good example, right? News is a good example. Yeah, they just delve into that. Say, oh, I can't believe he said this. I can't believe they did that. Did the other thing. People not talking. This other plane went down. Say, oh, what's going on? What's going to be on with the FAA in America and this and that. You got what people talk about now. Yeah. So people say, oh, they're hiring people they shouldn't be hiring. Oh, that gets into a lot of questions. They're hiring because of race, not because of knowledge. Not because the people are qualified. Yeah. So that gets into all kinds of political things. So people get into that. And all kinds of other things. Things essentially don't matter. Take us away from this. Right? But what it does, or potentially what it does, is it fills the void, right? It fills the void, but imagine you're filling that void. You're filling that void with something that you need 1 billion times more to keep it filled. So now you just filled it, with 1/1 billionth of 1% of what you really need to fill it with. So what's going to happen? You got to try and keep doing it. And the more you do it, again, it's like a sinking pit. You need more, right? It's like a drug addict, right? Once the high comes down, you need more. It never stops. So the same thing, right? This is the same thing. So you give, a person can feel good about what they saw. Wow, that was so amazing, whatever. But then what happens? It feel worse because it didn't do what you wanted it to do, right? It only fulfilled a certain purpose, right? So now you need more. Imagine, someone's a sports addict, try and stop, try and cut down. Let's say for a while they're able to do it, they're not so interested in this and that. Then you got, Super Bowl coming up, and you want to, I don't know, person wants to start checking out statistics and this and that. You get lost in it. It's very easy. It's very easy to. So there mentioned, the rabbi say that music is an amazing way to connect to Hashem. Okay. Mainstream music's been hijacked by sides, darkness, and used for evil. Yeah. Yeah. If you just listen to the beats, which, I'm not saying the beats are any great shakes these days, without the lyrics, maybe. Maybe that'll get you sing and dance a little bit, a little more, connect a little bit more. But if you're listening to the lyrics are bad. Most of them. All the things are bad. Right? It's either cursing, it's either, immoral topics or whatever. Right? Someone say, listen, I like to listen to classical music. Okay, I feel your pain. I feel like I'm going to get drilled by a dentist by doing that. But okay. So even the first thing you're going to say that. Is there really anything wrong with it? No, if it uplifts the person, they enjoy it, keeps them calm. Okay. Right? But if the message is bad and the lyrics are bad, that would take away from that. Right? That would take away from it, for sure. Someone here mentioned, let me just, what does that ever be in infantry? Yeah, combat movies don't really do anything. Okay. It was a different issue though. The problem, here, as someone here points out, that really the brain can't differentiate between real life events and movies, right? Even if you really know, you get caught up in it, right? 100%, right? 100%. You get caught up in it, but the values themselves, right? The values themselves are problem, in general. But it's a lot easier living someone else's life when you don't have to live your own. All right, that is the truth. Because when you're living someone else's life or you're part of someone else's life, you don't have to deal with your own life. Look at what they have to go through. Look what their family is, and look what they've been dealt with in the hand. They've been dealt with in this world. Very good. It's all fantasy, though, right? It's all fantasy, right? I don't think there's any question, and that effect is bad, right? That effect is bad. If you listen to things that are comforting in the right way, okay, right? Music wise, I don't have an issue with, right? Depends on the music also, but the problem is, as we said, a lot of these things are negative. They're negative. Lyrics are negative, right? The beats probably, as well. But even if you enjoy the music and it gets you up to sing and dance, okay. Yeah, that's going to draw you closer to God. Okay. But again, if the lyrics are bad and other things are bad, it defeats the purpose. And a person, and the other problem is the person's going to say, but I know better. I can differentiate. I can take away from this the good. I can peel away the good from the bad. That's what That's what Rebbe Meir said about his Rebbe Elisha ben Abuya, right? Or known as Acher, right? He went off. It was one of the Sanhedrin, went off. So they asked him, they asked Rebbe Meir, how in the world could you listen to what he says? He's a heretic. Right? Elisha ben Abuya is a heretic. Can't listen to him. Rebbe Meir said, I peel away what's bad. I throw away what's bad and I keep what's good. Whatever he says is good, I keep. Whatever he says is bad, I throw away. So I would say, if we were at the level of Rebbe Meir, I could hear. Or not. We may say I can differentiate, I get this and that. The problem is it affects the person. And a person's living a life, they're living a life of fantasy because what they do is they're living other people's lives. Potentially. Or they're not living them, but they're interacting in such a way where they're taking what their lives are, and taking it to heart. That's a problem, right? That all that, again, all these things. What they do is it just numbs the problem. It doesn't solve the problem, right? If it doesn't solve the problem, you're going to need more of it. And the more you have of it, then, if you're sticking to things, again, that are less problematic, I would say, you say, okay, maybe it's not the worst thing, but what can it do? What can it do? Then, a person binges and spend hours, right? And then it doesn't end. Then now you're caught up. Now you're sucked in, right? Now, as somebody pointed out before, once that happens, I'm not going to say that's going to happen after the first time. It doesn't have to happen after the first time. What can happen is it happens over and over, and then a person feels worse than they did before. Right? Why is that? Why is that? It's obvious. Because they did something they shouldn't have done. Justify whatever. I need to relax. I need to chill. Very good. But then it spirals. And you look at this, and you watch something else, and then, and then it spirals. So, if a person would say, which isn't true, but if a person would say, this is it, we're going to watch for 10 minutes, right? Or whatever, I'm going to watch this one thing, and that's it, and I'm going to work much harder, blah, blah, blah. You're feeding into this frenzy. Once you feed in, again, I'm not going to say it's impossible to stop, but it's going to be very hard to stop. Because once you fed into something that's fun, something that's enjoyable, what happens? What inevitably happens? What inevitably happens is you do it again. And you do it a third time. And once the person has done it a number of times, what ends up happening? It makes you feel worse. It makes you realize what happened. So on the one hand, you wanted to solve a problem. Right? You want to solve a problem by chilling and this and that. Okay. On the other hand, you create other problems now. Now a person finds, it's hard to stop. Now, if you tell me you're going to stop straight away, and you stop straight away, it's a one-time thing, maybe. Does it ever end up being a one-time thing? No. Not usually. Not usually. And at that point, again, I'm not saying it's all or nothing, even if a person got beat. Even if they got, beat in a major way, you say, okay, I got beat here. I'm going to stop it now. Or I'm going to work hard to stop it. What happens sometimes is the person gets beat, and they say, I'll never be able to get up. It's impossible. The evil inclination will come and slaughter you. They say, no one's ever going to accept you. Everyone's going to give you a hard time. Everyone's this, everyone's that. You're no good. You'll never be able to stop. Whatever. And the evil inclination comes, tries to destroy you. So you have to say, okay, you're right. You got me. It wasn't good. It wasn't pretty, but okay. Now, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work double hard, triple hard, quadruple hard to fight it. Okay, but again, the more the more you let in, the harder it is, right? That's and again, the main problem is with a lot of these things, the values are bad. So now you're getting sucked into these bad values and bad thoughts based on what you're seeing, right? And that doesn't disappear. That's there. Someone doesn't become a heretic overnight. The story with Elisha ben Abuya, or known as Acher, right? He didn't become a heretic overnight. It didn't happen just like once. This happened, and there was the final straw. Sort of made him go off the deep end. Okay, but that wasn't what led him to it. He started reading all kinds of books he shouldn't have read. Over time, he started having different thoughts, but it got egged on by the stuff that he read also, the stuff that he saw and whatever. So because of that led him down the path. And then certain things that he saw, he said, it must be, God's out of control, this, that, and then he left. But that wasn't why. That wasn't the reason. Right? What was the main reason? It's because of stuff he saw, stuff he read that he shouldn't have. That was detrimental against Torah. It was fundamentally, opposed to Torah. So because he got involved in that, that's what happened. Right? And and it went step by step. I was reading something earlier where a child could have trouble in school, and it can manifest while they're there. Someone has trouble when they're 15, 16 doesn't mean this one event really caused it. There were other things also behind it. This was like made the decision, like, okay, that's it. Right? I'm done with this, but it was based on things that happened years before. Usually, something happened, unless it's like extremely traumatic, usually it's not the first thing that made a person think about this. Probably like the 5th, 6th, 10th, 20th thing, and then they finally say, okay, that's it. Like, then you have the straw that broke the camel's back. But that straw that broke the camel's back, if it happened 10 years ago, it wouldn't have made an issue. Would have made some issue, but not the major issue. You had to have other things on top of that before. And then finally you say, okay, they thought they were able to handle things, whatever, under so much strain, one little thing, boom, knocked them off. Again, doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens over time. But that's the point. Because if you don't nip it in the bud and you don't work at it, then it builds and builds and builds and builds, and then boom, and then a person explodes. And that's not the way it should be. Because the evil inclination, you got to remember, the evil inclination's got a lot of time on his hands. It's not going to get you to say, evil inclination's not going to come to you and say, I want you to desecrate Shabbos. I want you to do idolatry. Evil inclination's not going to do that because the evil inclination knows you're not going to do it. So what does the evil inclination do? What does the evil inclination do? Little things. This would be over 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever. Little things. And then a person did something else, adds on to that. Person did something else, adds on to that. Until a point the person gets to and they desecrate Shabbos. Or they go back to idolatry. Right? Or they do idolatry, whatever it is. Because something that outright, the evil inclination is not going to succeed. So the evil inclination got plenty of time. All he has to do is find a little bit of a hole in the armor, just a tiny hole. Once he makes a tiny hole, the evil inclination says, I got this person. It's just a matter of time. Could be weeks, could be months, could be years, doesn't matter. Make another little hole. Another little hole. Once you have enough holes, what does the evil inclination do? It comes in with something bigger and then opens it wide. But if there was no hole in the beginning, the evil inclination couldn't have done it. So it builds up over time. So even if a person says, yeah, I watch this now, and then they stop. Okay. They realize they're going to work harder, very good. Evil inclination says, oh, you think you got me? Okay, I'll get you again. Right? But it takes longer this time. Okay. Well, let's say the evil inclination gets the person again. Evil inclination got plenty of patience. We don't have patience. Evil inclination has. All he needs to do is make a little hole. Once he makes a little hole, it's possible for that person to open up the hole even more. Little by little by little, then you have an open hole. You have a much bigger hole. Once you have a much bigger hole, that evil inclination do what it wants. So that's why we said you have to nip it in the buds. Because if you don't nip it in the bud, what's going to happen? It's going to explode. Which is exactly what the evil inclination wants. Well, the evil inclination doesn't have to do that. Evil inclination can take it step by step. But if he gets an opening, he's going to go for it. Right? He wants to crush a person. That's what he wants to do. That's his job. Make a person sin. Very good. That's what he wants. So that's his job. We got to fight against everything. We don't even want to let a little thing in. But you got to understand, once you let it, you got to say, what's the big deal? How can this hurt? Right now, it's not going to hurt. Okay. Down the line, you open yourself up. Once you open yourself up, it's hard to close it. Again, I'm not going to say impossible. Sometimes it's like, God forbids, it's like if a person got cancer. What do you do if a person gets cancer? In most cases, you burn it out. Right? You go through chemo. Other things, you burn it out. That's the only way. Yeah, we can do it a little bit here, a little bit there. You don't have to be so aggressive. Okay. Right? You can take it step by step. Sometimes you have no choice. Sometimes you got to burn the sucker out, because if you don't burn it out, it'll kill you. Now, in spiritual terms, right, I can say the same thing. Sometimes you got to be extreme. The Rambam says you got to go to the opposite extreme and find a place in the middle. Find the middle path. That's the best thing. But sometimes you have to go to the opposite extreme to get you back to the middle. Because if you don't, this thing will just creep in and kill you. That's how it works. Because we struggle every single day against the influences of the outer world, right? Of the physical world. Physical world wants, as the body wants to go after the physical. And the physical is enjoyable, whatever it may be. The soul is yearning to come out. The soul wants to shine. It can never shine in this world, only as a pure soul in the next world. Very good. But you got to feed it. So you got to feed it with spirituality. So the more you feed it with spirituality, you push away a lot of darkness. Very good. But you got to keep that up. You got to fight for it. Anyone who can stay religious today in this messed up world, they're heroes. They are absolute heroes. Because we live in a seriously messed up world, messed up values that we humans have messed up. So to stay in the straight and narrow path, you got to feed as much spirituality as possible. To push away darkness doesn't mean the darkness isn't there. Right? And people say, come on, I can't do it all the time and this and that. There's a good reason why a lot of these things are a test. Yeah, they are a test. They are a distraction. And if you let them in, they'll kill you. Because what does the body want? To be satisfied. Body wants you to go after the body as much as possible. Right? Right? That's what it is. So therefore, in theory, what should we do? We should cut ourselves off from the world. So the whole thing says you can't do that. Right? Personally, I'm doing it because I want to show I'm not going to get any benefit from this world and this and that. And that's why I'm going to be righteous and not righteous. You got to live in the physical world. Right? So if you live in the physical world, you have to know how to deal with the physical world. Right? So in theory, I would agree. Isn't it better to have no connection to the world? Yeah. Right? You don't have a connection with people. You're in your own little world. Very good. But that's not how you grow. You have to be in this world. Now, there are ways to do it. You can't just disconnect. Right? The Rambam says, and the laws of repentance, there are 24 things stops the person from repenting. One of them is you separate yourself from the community. Can't live on an island. Right? That you can't do. That is forbidden. So yeah, maybe you're going to tell me it's better to cut myself off from this world. No. You got to live in this world. Right? All the spiritual giants, All the great rabbis, generations, they all lived in this world. None of them hid. None of them lived in a cave. Nobody lived in a cave. Nobody lived outside the community. You have to be part of the community. That's what you got to do. Good things about the community, bad things about the community. Doesn't matter. You got to be part of this world. Can't cut yourself off. You have to learn in the physical world how to live in this world and be cut off at the same time. That doesn't mean you don't have a connection to the world. Still have to have a connection. Right? You can't disappear from it. That's what God wants. Doesn't make you righteous either. You're going to say that'd be so easy. Well, you have other evil inclinations by doing that, but that's not the point. God does not want you to be separate. He does not want you to separate from this world. You got to be part of this world and use the world to your advantage for spiritual things, even though it might be hard. Right? Cutting yourself off is not the answer. That's definitely not the answer. It'd be very easy. The Orthodox says, there are 30 ways to take a self-accounting. The last way, he says something interesting. The last way, what does he say? He says, really, it's a relationship between you and God. So you have to see the world as that no human being can either harm or help you unless God wants them to. Right? That's what the whole Bible says. So then he asks, really, it's between you and God. Right? You're living in this world, it's you and God together. Very good. Then he asks the obvious question. If that is true, and you're only living with God, why do you need mankind? You don't need mankind, just you and God. You see, you need mankind. Right? If you didn't have mankind, streets wouldn't be clean. You wouldn't have garbage taken away. A lot of things. We'll be able to function in this world, right, without man. So you need man. But reality is you have to look at this world as that no person can help you or harm you unless God wants them to. Right? There's no question. Right? Again, suffering uplifts us. Suffering helps us. At the same time, we don't want it. Right? It's kind of a catch-22. Right? So, one thing a person has to realize as well is that suffering that a person's going to go through is not forever. It's limited. Right? Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. It's not always bad. I've heard people tell me, every aspect of their life is bad, it'll always be bad. Well, that's not true. Right? It's not true. Right? There's always good somewhere. No question. No question. Sometimes we go through such hard things, we can't see the good. There's a million ways to see the good. Right? But at the end of the day, if we look at challenges that can benefit us and squeeze us like the bottom of the toothpaste to help us reach potential, that's a good thing. You don't want to go through it. Very good. Right? We don't want to go through it. We feel like, we can't go through it. And God never puts us in a situation we can't handle. We may think we can't handle it, but God never puts us in the situation that we can't. We can't handle. What does it do? It makes us who we are. Right? It forms us who we are. So that ultimate, so what does that do, essentially? If you look at it as your relationship between you and God, right? And the rest of the world can go take a hike or whatever, or go eat kugel, as my Rebbe would say. Yeah, well, what does that do? That draws you in closer. See, if God really hated a person, if he really hated a person, it had nothing to do with you. In other words, you would have no challenges. Everything would be easy. Plenty of money, fame, right? Honor, million things. 1.5 million things. Very good. But a person that's a life tossed up, tossed upside down, and life is hard and this and that, even if we do it to ourselves, because God expects greatness from us. He expects us we can overcome this. That's why he put us through it. Right? If he didn't want to have anything to do with us, he'd give you millions of dollars, and that's it. Life would be great. That shows he doesn't want to have any connection. In fact, the person struggles, and they're working hard trying to overcome it and this and that. That means there's a relationship. Because otherwise, no relationship. And I would say, at the end of the day, it gives us an opportunity, an opportunity to draw close. So, again, I would tell people when, a person's really feeling down, you have to have that list of 20 things, even 10 that you're thankful for. So before you rip it up and you burn it, look at it. Because there are a million things we have to be thankful for. Okay, this is hard, that's hard, the other thing's hard. Very good. Nothing to be thankful for. Right? Go walk on your own 2 feet. I think that's something to be thankful for. Yeah. You don't have arthritis in your hands. That's something a person can be thankful for. Or if you have it, it's not flaring up right now. A lot of things. A person's plumbing works. I think that's something to be thankful for. It's got no one who's had constipation for a week. Million things to be thankful for. But what do we concentrate on? We concentrate on the hardship. We concentrate on the absolute hardship. That makes it harder, right? That makes make life feel like it's impossible. At the same time, if we get up and we don't have any aches and pains, and we're relatively healthy, like as people would say, if you don't have any health, you don't have anything. That's a huge thing. Oh, but I'm suffering with this and that. Okay. Yeah, but you don't have this. I mean, a lot of things to be thankful for. We're not thankful enough until something goes wrong. So something in your system, goes wrong. That's heard a story that, someone, someone much older, at 92, blacked out, fractures neck, and other issues, right? Also, but pretty miraculously, had surgery. The surgery is successful, breathing on their own. Right? See how exactly they come out of it, what's going on. But okay, first of all, person, 92 years old. That's not something to sneeze at. A lot of people don't make it that old. Okay. And had very few health problems. And, almost no health problems up until this thing. So, we're gonna say you're gonna throw the whole rest of your life away and say life's been so bad and this and that, and person lived to a ripe old age. It's perspective. Now I get it. We go through hardships. That's true. But at the same time, we always have to see the bigger picture. And if you don't see the bigger picture, then everything's bad. Right? Everything's bad. And it's not true. It's not true. You say it's the way I see it. Okay. I can make you a list of 250 things just in the physical world that a person can be, absolutely thankful for, and it's nothing to sneeze at. I'm going through this and that and the other thing. Okay. There are a lot of things to be thankful for. A lot of things. And there are plenty of things also. We think we're going to do this, do that, and the other thing. We're going to make all these plans. The Yiddish expression, we plan, God laughs. Right? I mean, you're not even speaking to anyone. Today I shouldn't even be here. Right? I shouldn't be where I am today. I should have been in the States, but something happened and whatever. Still here. Right? Still here. So obviously, it'd be some reason. Things happen that I didn't travel. Whatever. But we make all these plans. We're gonna say, okay, this messed up, something else messed up. Whatever. Okay. It happens. Right? It definitely happens. A lot of things that we plan do not go the way we think. In many ways. Well, so what are you gonna do? How are you gonna view it? Someone told me America's not ready for it, so that's probably true. Right? So it could be God's gonna say, okay, I'm gonna save them. I'm gonna save them the pain from me being there for a certain amount of time. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see when I'm gonna get there and what's gonna be. Very good. Right? Would have thought in a million years. Yeah, I'm playing for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, this and that, something unexpected happens. Okay. Well, it's not in our hands in many ways. We go through the motions. We plan. We may, we think we're going to live forever, right? And we make all these plans or whatever, but you have no idea. You have no idea what's going to be and how things are going to go, right? But what's the point? A lot of aggravation, a lot of different things. Very good, but what's the point? It's the outlook. What's the outlook? I'll tell you what the outlook is. The outlook is God knows what he's doing. God runs the world. If you want to be if you want me to be an American, I'd be there. But obviously he doesn't. Why? I don't know. I got a few reasons, potentially. At least why not right now, but nobody knows. Nobody knows for sure. Well, what's the bottom line? He said no. He said, no, you're not going. Okay. So about all these plans and this and that? Okay, so that's what it is. Those things, wasn't it aggravating? Yeah, it was, but okay, move on. But yeah, you have to see divine providence for what it is. If you're supposed to be there, you're supposed to be there. If you weren't supposed to be there, other things can happen. You weren't there. But would you have planned it that way? No. Are you in control of that? No. What are we in control of? We're in control of how we're going to react. That's what we're in control of. Right? Free will is not taken away. The only question is how you see it. As we always say, you got to see the bigger picture. Because if you don't see the bigger picture, you don't see it. And everything just haphazard. Yeah. So if someone blacks out and trips and, almost dies. Oh, was that in the plans for them? Wasn't in the plans. Certainly wasn't in the plans. And someone trips and fractures an arm. Is that in the plans? Not in the plans. That's what ended up happening. Okay. So now the question is, okay, so now what do you do? Right? God's got a lot of ways to do a lot of things. The question is how we view it. And again, there are things that I would say, seem unpleasant, seem unfair, but it's perspective. So that Hashem wants us to be subservient to him forever. Why not? Why shouldn't he? We have an obligation every second of every day till we die to serve him. You hear stories of people who the last thing they did before they died made a blessing. You got to know how to live, you have to know how to die. But why wouldn't we be? Let me flip the script here. Right? Question is, does God want us to be subservient to him forever? Why would he not want us to be? At what point in our lives are we not subservient to him? Even when we're dead, we're subservient to him. Our soul is subservient to him. So ask the question. At what point in our lives are we not subservient to him? Even when we're in the bathroom, we'll keep this clean. We're also subservient to him. Right? If you're a Jew, there are laws what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do in the bathroom. So even when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing there, you're subservient to him. So when are we not subservient to him? When we're sleeping? No. Still subservient. Not try and control our thoughts when we sleep. But where's it? 100%. It never stops. Never stops even after we die. All right, I once told my Rebbe, someone once said, when you're dead, you can sleep as much as you want. Not true. Rebbe said, you got plenty of things to do in the next world also. Yeah, so 100% we're subservient. Yeah. Listen, we're also subservient to men. We also have to deal with other people. As we said before, it'd be easy to, go live in a cave and live by yourself. Okay. Well, we're in this world to deal with others and how they have an effect on us and vice versa. Because we don't live in a cave. Right? So is there any time during our lives we're not subservient to God? At all times. Obviously when we have knowledge, the baby subservient to God when they're underage? No. When a person, comes of age, and even when they're younger, they have to be trained. They have to be trained how to serve God. That never stops. When a kid is married, you have to know how to, deal with them when they're married. But, even so, they, still need some guidance to a point. But, every second of every day, we're subservient to. Never changes. Right? Never changes. Sometimes it's easier. Sometimes it's not, but it never changes. I've heard people say, well, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. I'm not going to pray to God. Well, that's your choice. That's your choice, but it doesn't stop. His obligation to us, our obligation to him never stops. It never stops. It's 24/7. Even when we're asleep, we have to know what to think about before we go to sleep. We have proper thoughts when we sleep. Again, easier said than done, but I would say it's great responsibility. That's what we have. We have to take care of the body, we have to take care of the soul. If you don't take care of the soul, you're in trouble. You have to take care of it the right way. Our obligation, let's put it this way, our obligation is to give our soul back when we die the way we got it. Like, a person going to say that's impossible. If God is a pure soul, we made it impure, right, by all the things we've done. Yeah, we're going to have to answer. 100%, we're going to have to answer. But that relationship never stops, right? Even the next world never stops. Because the soul can still either be going up or going down, depending on what, if we have kids or whatever, or offshoots of what our actions are, can either help us or not help us in the next world. Either help us go up spiritually or not. Right? So there are a lot of things going on, even in that world. But in this world, yeah, every second of every day, we have to take account. Every second of every day. It's a huge responsibility. Living is a huge responsibility. And that, and until it stops, until a person dies, our obligation is to grow and grow and grow spiritually as much as possible. That's our goal. That's what we should be doing. Is it easy? No. Should it be easy? No. Shouldn't be easy. Right? If we're doing the right thing, we got a lot to do. 100%, we got a lot to do. Yeah. Any other questions? It says, don't want to have slaves. Why not? Great to have slaves, right? Take care of all our needs. But see, this is the big difference. We don't need any intermediaries. We have our own connection. We have our own connection. So it could be better, it could be worse, but you always have that connection. God's not going to punish us for the sake of punishing, right? He'll do it as a parent has to discipline a child, right? But we have to admit and we have to see whatever we go through. A lot of it has to do with what we do. But if we have anything to complain about, it's ourselves. You say, God should make it so hard. Things should be so easy, and all these other things. That's great. But we have to take responsibility as well. The person say, but I'm trying and I'm getting slammed. Okay, that means it's a relationship. So we have to be. So what did I work on? Person to work on everything, whatever they can work on. We have to be better every single day. It's a challenge, big challenge. Living in this world is a big challenge, no question. But we have to work hard. That's what we're here for. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to stop here. This is every Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me at Facebook at Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com. Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on Pirke Avos, ethics for our fathers, Q&As, book of Leviticus. You want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com. We're good.